Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar entitled, Please Don't Give a Mouse a Cookie. My name is Maura Penzak, and I'm the Housing Liaison for the city. Before we get started today, I just wanted to give you a couple of housekeeping details. First, if you'd like to use the CART services, please click for closed captioning. Please click on CC and then show subtitles to turn the captions on. Second, although this presentation is being recorded, only the presenters will be recorded and participant questions will not be identified. And in just a minute, Crystal Rosa is going to show us how to ask a question. And just before we do that, I just wanted to give you just a note about today's webinar. It's part of the city's House in Cambridge Information to Open Doors campaign that started a year ago last month. House in Cambridge is a citywide outreach, education, and information campaign designed to promote and inform residents about all things related to housing. This is our 12th webinar, and prior to today's topics, we've had topics that range from tenant rights to home ownership, from applying for affordable housing to information about utility resources, and even a couple months ago, we had a presentation by the police department on scam prevention. So we hope that you'll join us, you'll enjoy today, and that you'll join us in the future for other topics. And we're also happy to report that in case you missed those, that all of the pre-recorded webinars are on the city's YouTube channel. And now I'll turn it quickly over to Crystal Rosa, the Program Administrator for the city's Human Rights Commission and Technical Guru for Housing in Cambridge campaign, and she'll explain how to ask a question.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And on the bottom of your screen, if you hover over the panel, you should see the option that says Q&A. That is the box that we would like you to submit questions. If you use the chat, we'll remind you to use the Q&A box. So please submit your questions through the Q&A box. You can submit anonymously, just make sure to click on the box. We will have a Q&A session at the end, but presenters may be able to verbally respond to your questions throughout the presentation. And you may also get typed questions or answers through the Q&A box. So like I said, hover over the Q&A. We're trying to leave the chat for any technical difficulties. So mostly for the panelists to discuss. So thank you so much. And I'm gonna start sharing the.
I'm just gonna
go ahead.
Introduce the panelists before we show the slide. Our wonderful team from the city's Inspectional Services Department. We have Anthony Tuccinardi, the Operations Manager at the department, Dave Power, Housing Inspector with ISD and a licensed and certified exterminator, and Melissa Durego, a registered sanitary inspector. All three of these folks are experts in keeping our home healthy and safe, whether you're a tenant or an owner, and great tips and information about what to do if you do encounter some unwelcome pests. So I look forward to hearing from them, and I will now turn it over to our panelists.
You can go ahead. I'm having your slides up.
Okay. Thank you, Crystal and Mara, for having us here. My name is Dave Power. I'm a housing inspector with the City of Cambridge. With me is Melissa Durego.
Hello.
She's a sanitary inspector, taking care of restaurants and those types of locations. So as was said, we're doing the presentation is Don't Give a Mouse a Cookie, focusing on what to do if you've got a pest and what to do and how to prevent them. Today we're going to be focusing on what I'd like to call the big four, which is the pests that you would probably be more likely to interact with or would cause a sanitary problem in your apartment. or in your home. We will have time at the end of each section for questions, and also at the very end, there's of course the Q&A. And you can feel free to ask me then about any other pests that you might have a question on. So we can start the.
Sorry, I'm gonna try to fix the view.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make sure everyone sees you two. Okay. It should be fine. Alrighty, I'm gonna share the screen again. Sorry, thank you, everybody. I guess, I'm not sure why I can't see you, but you can continue when you're ready.
Okay. So the, again, the title page, Housing Cambridge presents, Don't Give a Mouse a Cookie, protect your home from unwanted pests of all types. And here we are. And our one of our most popular topics right now in Cambridge, you saw a rat, now what? And this rat's enjoying his little give a mouse a cookie. Next slide. Stay calm. Don't take matters into your own hands. We're trying to emphasize that people shouldn't self-exterminate. You know, that there are professionals out there that should handle it. And we can go to the next slide. You should report it as soon as possible to the landlord or to the management company. In most cases, it is their responsibility to hire an exterminator and get the problem taken care of. And on the screen is the exact wording from the state law in the sanitary code that says that the owner of a dwelling containing 2 or more dwelling units shall maintain it and its premises free of all rodents, skunks, cockroaches, and insect infestation, and shall be responsible for exterminating them. So if you do report your problem, in this case the rat, to the landlord or management company, and if they're not, if they say, oh, we're not going to do it, it's not our problem, or they're not moving quick enough, you know, we'll get the exterminator next month. You can reach out to the Inspectional Services Department, and then we can actually order them to hire an exterminator and give them a set deadline to get that done. So in the meantime, while you're waiting for your appointment, or while you're waiting for the exterminator to get to your unit, you should keep track of where you see them. That will be, you know, in times of day that you see them, any of the details, just make a note about where they are, what they're doing. And that'll help the exterminator when they get there. If there's a rat running here and there in the kitchen or in one of the rooms, obviously you can try to open the door and get him to run out, but you know, that doesn't always, you know, work too well. So, you know, keep track. When the exterminator gets there, you can help them by sharing that information. Okay. Also, as far as preventing rats go, or in the meantime, before your appointment happens, is I always like to say, think like a rat. Take away the things that a rat would like. And some examples of that would be to eliminate as many food sources indoors as possible. Don't leave pet food out overnight, whether it's indoors or outdoors. If you feed birds, you should stop feeding the birds until the rats go away. Most of the experts say you don't need to feed the birds in the spring and summertime anyway. It's actually not helping them. Residents of a particular complex, if there's more than just a few folks there, you should all work together to try to keep the trash area as clean as possible to prevent rats from foraging into the trash. And again, this is all things you can do ahead of a problem to hopefully prevent the rats from finding your place to begin with. Okay, we're going to pause for rat questions.
I don't see any questions in the chat so far, so I think we can go on.
You can see the Q&A. Okay.
Mara, there's one in the Q&A box.
Oh, I apologize, I didn't see that.
Oh, no, it's just
no,
a
they're just
text.
saying they're seeing the slides, right?
Great.
Sorry. I mean, seeing the presenters.
There we go. Okay, our next section is our friendly little give a mouse a cookie mouse that most everybody is aware of. It's also a children's book, I guess, right now. We can move to the next slide. So again, you see a mouse, you gave a mouse a cookie, he's hanging out in your house. Stay calm, don't take matters into your own hands, meaning don't self-exterminate. You should, again, report this as soon as possible to the landlord management company. It is usually their responsibility, like I explained before. Mice and rats are both rodents, so their behavior is much the way I outlined. The rat behaviors are going to be the same. Some differences between rats and mice. Mice are going to require less food, obviously, they're smaller. They're going to require less space. So you may not notice a mouse running by as opposed to definitely seeing a rat run by in the kitchen or wherever. And so because they're smaller, they're harder to see, there may be more of them before you actually do notice them, which gets the problem a little bit further along. It requires a little more work to eliminate. So the step for control and prevention would otherwise be the same as rats. And once again, I'm saying, think like a mouse this time. Take away the things that a mouse would like. Eliminate as many food sources indoors as possible. Again, don't leave your pet food out. Feeding birds, same thing. Trash area, all pretty much the same. The most important thing is thinking like they're going to think and changing up their habits so that they either move on, die off, whatever the case may be. Oh, mouse questions.
We do have questions. Actually, the first is back to the rats.
Excellent.
Someone had rat activity under the hood of their car. Do you have suggestions on how to deal with that? I see both of your heads nodding, yours and Melissa's. So it sounds like, is this not unusual? I'm going to add to the question and also what can people do?
So, yeah, so I think I just answered this right out loud. We've heard of this. We've definitely heard of this happening, in various places in the city. It is something that is pretty difficult to control, specifically to your car. It's not like you can set up any kind of barrier or anything like that. I've heard anecdotal evidence of putting things that, might smell inside the engine compartment. You definitely want to check that with a mechanic before you tried any of those kind of things on your own. I would talk to your mechanic and see if they've had experience with this issue and if they've recommended anything that has worked. Definitely, much like in the seminar, try not to take matters into your own hands, find a professional. So the broader answer to that is it's probably a neighborhood thing. Unless you park your car in a single car garage, you're probably parking on the street, which means it could be a neighborhood issue, or it's in a garage. Again, it's something that everybody is sharing. So it takes everybody's attention to what's going on. Where are the barrels that these rats are feeding at? Where are they living? If there's a house down the road that looks like they have rat activity or looks like they're not doing the things they need to do to prevent rats, you can always give us a call. We can go out, we can take a walk around the whole neighborhood. We have a residential rodent control program that the city is now working on. where the city provides a 60-day period of extermination at your home outside for the exteriors. That's available to landlords and to tenants. There are some parameters to permissions for the private property program, but it is another option. And we'd love to, if you know, come out and take a look around your neighborhood where that incident happened and see if we can come up with some of those answers. So communicate to us and find out from a professional what they might recommend.
And if I can ask one other one other question that's kind of connected to that. Is there anything that you know of that is in a car that might attract rodents? You know, because obviously you're not storing your food in the hood of the car. So what is it that might be attracting the rodents to the car?
Well, I mean, sometimes it can be the warmth if the car has just gotten there, if it's the wintertime. Also, shelter or protection from predators. They have a prey instinct that they really want to, for the most part, hide and be out of the way. I've heard some experts say that the wiring looks like weeds or stems of plants that occur naturally in the wild, where a wild rat would be interested in that. I've also heard, but I'm not too sure about, is sometimes there's again, unproven, but the material used in some of the wiring, I've heard, contains possibly a food grade product in some cars. So they might actually be gnawing on that for that reason. I'm not too sure about that one, but there's lots of different reasons out there.
That's helpful. And I think something else that you just tapped into before I get to just the next two questions is when you talk about the wiring. I know that some rodents have chewed through outdoor lights. And is that the same kind of issue, same reason possibly? Or? Yeah,
probably. I mean, rats and mice normally gnaw anyway. Just as a normal instinct, whether they're searching for food or whether they're whatever the case may be. I mean, it can be thinking it is actually not a wire, not knowing it's a wire, but thinking it's a something that they can eat. So they'll gnaw on it and then discover, of course, they can't eat it and then move on. But your wiring is already exposed, so that becomes a problem.
Thank you. And two more questions that have come up. One is, you touched on this, but I'm not sure if you want to give some more information, in particular the number to call, et cetera. But the question is, what is the city doing extra to keep the streets clean, food in the streets, keeps them fed? So,
yep. So sometimes that's absolutely true. Sometimes our own city barrels that might be on a street outside your home might be the source where they're getting their food from. So we communicate with Public Works when we do an inspection of an area. If we find a barrel that has been damaged, we let them know about it. They replace the liner. They can replace the plastic liner with a metal liner, or sometimes, depending on the area, they can look at replacing the barrel altogether with a big belly. There are certain parameters to whether or not an area or a neighborhood or a street gets a big belly. That's something that's decided over at Public Works. So, but certainly it's a recommendation we can make if we find that problem. Getting out there in the neighborhoods is our main focus to try to inspect. And we have phone numbers at the end of the presentation for, depending on what area of the city you live in, which inspector you should call.
Terrific. And there's one more question at this moment, and that is, if a neighbor has a bird feeder, can the city require them to remove it if there is rodent activity in the area?
Yeah, this is another popular topic lately for us. We can't tell them, or we can't require them to remove it, but the code violation that comes up when they have a bird feeder is, and if anyone does have a bird feeder, they know that the birds eat what seems like one seed and spill about 10. So the code violation would be the spilled food all over the ground. So how we do handle that with folks that have a bird feeder is we require them to clean that up daily. And that's the violation they'll receive. And we'll actually, if we need to, we can write a ticket for it, which we'd rather not. We'd rather they just stop. But, it's again, part of the cooperation thing to get everyone in the same area, on the same page, keep as little food out there as possible. And we really stress out the rats and mice, and slow down their activity.
Dave, can I just want to add in
Sure,
just
go ahead,
one thing with the neighborhood bird feeders. It's so hard because we are not allowed to go on private property. So if you have bird feeders in backyards and there's activities around there, it's very difficult. It's one of the biggest problems in the city. And, we get some pushback. We want to feed the birds in the winter time, but it is a big problem. It's definitely a food source, an easy food source for rats.
Perfect. Thank you, Anthony.
And that concludes the questions at this time.
Great.
I know you have much more to tell us.
Cockroaches, lovely. Don't everybody get too squirmy with that picture. I apologize. So again, stay calm if you've found a cockroach or some in your home. Don't take matters into your own hands. Don't self-exterminate. And it's important for not self-exterminating, especially with cockroaches. Pesticides can be dangerous if they're not used correctly. You should definitely leave that to professionals. You have a risk of fire, risk of poisoning, risk of non-target exposure with kids or pets. Spraying on your own might just move the problem to somebody else's unit, which would be great for you, but not so great for your neighbor. And they might just do the same thing and push them back over to you. So it's not really solving the problem. It's just moving the problem around. And overtreating can build up resistance in the roaches. Cockroaches reproduce so quickly. They were able to build resistance to chemicals, and then make the job or the task of getting rid of them even harder. So again, report any activity that you see as soon as possible to the landlord and management company, and it is usually their responsibility. The longer you wait, the worse the problem gets. So don't be afraid to report it. It will help everybody in the end. Most landlords and management companies I talk to, their biggest challenge with this is knowing that the problem even exists. They can't get anybody in there to fix it if they don't know about it. And it is important. It is a health and sanitation issue if you allow these things to reproduce in your home. So report it as soon as you can. They reproduce very quickly. They become very large numbers, and it becomes a very big problem very quickly, making it obviously harder to control. Your landlord and management company is required to exterminate. The sooner they get started, the sooner they can get it fixed. Before you have a cockroach treatment, you will get a list of preparation steps. It's very important that you do all of the steps if they apply to you, and do them to the best you can. It's going to help the problem get solved quicker when things are moved out of the way, when shelves are cleaned prior to the service, because you really shouldn't clean after the service, give the chemical time to work. All of those things are very important to make sure that you do the best you can with it. Again, if your management company is not helping you out, or pushing it back too far for the same reason, we need to get it resolved as soon as possible, reach out to us at Inspectional Services. We'll have the phone numbers at the end. Housing department can come out, we can inspect and we can order them to hire an exterminator, again, within a certain deadline. Cockroach questions.
A couple of questions for you, Dave, and the team.
Sure.
Can you talk about what might help prevent cockroaches? And actually first, what attracts them? And what are some prevention ideas?
So with cockroaches, they're usually, okay, so it isn't necessarily just a clean or less than clean unit. They can be, you can have the cleanest unit and they can be in a neighboring unit. And they will forage, especially when if a neighboring unit gets to large numbers, where they can't, the food in that unit is not enough to support those roaches, they will forage out and look for other food sources. They'll follow plumbing lines, electrical lines over to your unit. So there, sometimes in housing situations where there are a lot of folks, it's not super easy to prevent them, but it's, you know, it is important once you do discover them. Obviously that neighbor that has a large problem needed to report that. If you see them in common areas or in the trash room, make sure you let somebody know, you know, as soon as you can, so that it doesn't become much worse of a problem. Be careful with bringing takeout home or the packaging from takeout containers or takeout bags. If there is something in there, and I'm not saying that there usually is, there usually isn't, that can, if you know, the sooner you throw those things away, the better off you're going to be. Put them into a sealable container, you know, put them in your fridge if you're not done with the, you know, with the food yet. Any of that packaging that you get should be discarded as soon as possible. And I hope that kind of covers everything. Mara.
We do another rat question, mouse and rats. The person is in a 12-unit building, and the exterminator has used boxes around the perimeter and in some units, and that, of course, you know, attracts the rodents because they're going into the box to get the food, and the participant goes on to say that, you know, then the critters are dying, and it could be painful and slow. And also there's a concern that the critters and birds, that other critters and birds eat the dead rodents. So just wondering if you have ideas about alternatives, what you think about have-a-heart traps, etc.
Yeah, great. Lot of good stuff in that question. Thank you. All relevant right now too. Everybody's asking all these same questions about what's going on with rodenticide usage. So to kind of break down your question one at a time, it's good that you have an exterminator, you know, on a regular basis. You know, around the outside and when the mice are inside. It doesn't, they don't usually attract rodents. If it's a rodenticide, it's intended for them to find it while they're foraging. So they would come across that and potentially sample it or eat it. But it's not like a rat is going to travel a great distance because it knows that rodenticide is there. They will probably, if there's rats in the area, they will probably find a different food source. So the boxes on the outside are more of like a preventative, help the exterminator know when there is a problem close by. Your question about how it affects the rodents, most of those baits do act in that same way, which can be difficult to think about. For sure. Trapping is definitely a good option. A lot of commercial extermination companies shy away from trapping because they can't get to the traps frequently enough to check them and remove dead rodents from the trap. So it in their mind, it becomes less effective. I still feel like a trapped rat is one less rat. So if you do happen to be in a situation where you own the home or you have a good relationship with your landlord, you could do the you could perhaps participate in some of the trapping. I'm not encouraging that because I know I already said don't take matters into your own hands. Trapping is a better way to go. We do offer trapping as an option in the city's private property rodent control program. You can choose to only have traps used on your property. That might be a better way to go. I have heard of people using Haverhart traps, which is a live trap. The drawback to that is you then have to do the deed of eliminating that rat, because you definitely shouldn't take them somewhere else and let them go. You're making a problem in one area into a problem in another. So you have to have a plan if you're going to use a Haverhart trap of what you're going to do with that live rat once you catch them, other than releasing.
And that was an important part of the question, Dave, that I actually didn't know, but I'm glad you're touching on that, because it is, that some people have used them and then we release them elsewhere, and what are the laws relating to this practice? So I think, as you said,
Yeah, so
it doesn't help, but is there a law, or is it?
I don't know specifically if there's a law about rats. I know some of the larger animals, raccoons, squirrels, things like that. It is governed by, I believe, Massachusetts Fish and Game, that you cannot transport these animals and release them somewhere else. It actually harms the animal because they're in an unfamiliar environment. They don't know where their food sources are. There could be competition with other animals. They end up having to fight for their new food source. So again, I want to fall back on leaving it to the professionals who, and they know that they can't, catch and release. If you do choose to do it, just make sure you have a plan for what you're going to do after it gets caught. In as far as alternatives to poison, there are other things that can be done. You can work with or describe to your management company. If you see the rats going somewhere, you can talk about that, and they can block up access where rats might be hiding. You can, if the burrows where the rats are living are visible and accessible, there are other quicker means of killing them off with carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. There are a lot of different new ways out there other than rodenticides. Look into it, call us, ask us to come out. We can, give an opinion on it and put people into touch with folks that are willing to use those alternatives.
Thank you. And a compliment to ISD and the city, and I would say a great public service announcement to throw in by one of our participants, that the person has found the city, responds very quickly to picking up dead rats, and reiterates that report them as soon as possible, and the reminder of ClickFix, see ClickFix.
Right. See ClickFix is the reporting system in the city, and you can report a rodent sighting as well as reporting a dead rodent. Dead rodents are usually picked up same day with Public Works, and we respond within a certain amount of time to all rodent sightings that get reported on See ClickFix. So definitely use that. It helps us a great deal. You're not going to upset anybody.
Thank
Dave,
you, and thank you to that participant. Sorry, Anthony.
No, that's okay. Dave, you want to talk a little bit about the test that the city is doing with the smart box and smart pipe, as other cities and towns are now joining in?
Sure, yeah. I mean, to my understanding, so the smart box, some people might have heard of in the news, is something that Somerville was trying out. It is a device used by one particular company in the area. They have the patented rights to it, so only this company can use this particular device. It monitors for activity and reports back to the software that when there is activity near it, it alerts that. It also, when the rats enter this particular trap, it kills them and contains them, and then deposits them into a holding bin in the trap, leaving that trap then ready to catch another one. So it's a good alternative to the trapping dilemma for most companies that you catch one and that's it. So now you can catch several at a time, and then it also alerts the extermination company, and they know to go out and clean it out. So it is a good system. In certain locations where there's activity, it's a great thing. Cambridge is looking into using them. Once we get through the city bidding process, we'll be internally talking about where to try them out. And the smart pipes are something that DPW is going to be looking into to put in the sewer system to detect and, if found, be able to exterminate rats before they become a problem up on the surface with us.
Thank you. And I know that you have one more area. That you wanted to review.
Yeah, so I think we can go to the next slide.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
repeat the name of the system. It's
Oh.
Smart Box.
Yeah,
Smart.
smart, is it smart box, smart trap, smart box? It's been publicized in Somerville. So if you're looking for more information, they can hold 5 caught rats at a time, but typically the company gets to it sooner than you get that many in there. Sorry about that. So we ready for bed bugs?
Bed bugs.
More fun stuff. Unlike all the others, it is understandable if you're upset when you find a bed bug in your home. They're in your personal space, they're feeding on your blood, and they can also reproduce very quickly. And they can be very difficult to eliminate. So again, don't take matters in your own hands. Do not self-exterminate. Report it to the management company. Pesticides, same dangers as with cockroaches, risk of fire, risk of poisoning. There's a lot of stuff out there over the counter for bed bugs. Most of it does not work really well. And if it is going to work, it works best in the hands of someone who's trained, knows where to look and how to handle the situation. Spraying can cause bed bugs to move to different units, or again, same as the cockroaches, they can build up a resistance, which will make it even harder to control them. Again, super important to follow the exterminator's preparation steps. It's a lot of work to prepare for a bed bug service, but it's worth it. It makes it more effective in the end, and solves the problem quicker. Okay, to prevent bed bugs, and everybody sees this, especially this time of year, move in, move out for all the colleges. We recommend that you never bring home old bed frames, old mattresses, box springs, any kind of upholstered furniture found on the street. They're probably on the street for a reason. They're probably not any good anymore, or they might already have an infestation of bed bugs. and you don't want to just bring those home. You should only accept furniture from trusted sources. You know, maybe if a relative that you know that does not have bed bugs is getting rid of some furniture, okay. If you're gonna buy used furniture, you should make sure you check it very, very thoroughly. Seams, gaps underneath the furniture. Bed bugs are visible to see. They're not invisible. On that first slide we had, the middle item was actually a bed bug egg, and then all the different sizes of the bed bug as it grows. I should have thought of that and put that slide back up here. Oh, there they are. Okay, so in the middle is an egg, and then the smallest roach is what they start out as. I'm sorry, bed bug, and then they grow to the one that's at 9 o'clock. And those are the, you know, they're all feeding. They're all coming to you while you're sleeping. So, but they are all visible. Okay, so easy enough for you to check furniture. If you have any question at all, don't buy the furniture. Next, yeah, there we go. When traveling, okay, inspect the bed and the furniture where you're staying. This slide shows you a great picture of all the different places that they might be hanging out. The number one is obviously the mattress and the box spring and the bed frame. These, you know, the other areas, the picture frames, the curtains, that's usually in more serious situations. But definitely, I mean, whenever I go away and I go to a hotel room, my wife is like, "Are you really doing that?" And I'm like, "Yep."
Yeah.
Peel back the sheet, peel back the mattress cover, take a look around. It can save you a world of aggravation. The hotels do a good job, but maybe there's something there that they don't know about. Keep your suitcases closed and off the floor and off the bed. I've heard people say that they leave their suitcases in the bathtub of the hotel room if it has one. And take a good look at everything that you're bringing home. Inspect all your possessions before you leave. If you think you might have brought some home, you know, you see a bug in there, you're not sure if it is or not. If you wash and dry all your clothing in hot setting, or store the items in a sealed bag until they can be washed on a hot setting, that will help. Heating up, even just using the dryer, if you have something that will tolerate high heat, 130 degrees, if you heat anything to 130 degrees for 15-20 minutes, it's going to kill all the various size bed bugs and the eggs. So that's a great practice to do. As soon as you get home, bring the suitcase down, run everything through the dryer or washer and dryer. When my son came back from his first year away at college, that's the first thing we did. Everything had to go right to the basement in trash bags until it could go into the dryer. So I mean, it's just one little step in prevention that can save you a lot of headache. There we go. And back to any questions. We can do bed bugs or anything else that you might have thought of.
Thank you, Dave. One thing I noticed when you showed the slide of checking for the bed bugs in the hotel, there was a picture of it near the light socket.
Yep.
That is,
yeah, so in really, you know, and again, in really bad infestations, they can be in all these places. You shouldn't remove the outlet and check the socket. I can tell you the electrical inspectors at in our department would not be happy with you doing that. So, but you can take a look at it visually. You can look and see if there's anything around the outlet cover, the baseboard right underneath the outlet. All of these little check marks are all you could probably call that worst case scenario. But the big ones are the bed frame, box spring, and mattress. Check those areas, and they probably won't be anywhere else if they're not there. Okay, if they're not in one of those spots, they're probably not going to be just hanging out on the curtains. They want to be close to their food source.
And in terms of detecting, I understand that you have said that they're visible. are the lights that some places sell, that I think they call them black lights or
Yeah.
something, is that useful, necessary?
So the black light might show some of the blood spotting from when they're in an area, things like that. I don't believe those are designed to actually like light up a bed bug or anything like that. You know, having a good flashlight, a good regular old flashlight will help you see, you know, a bed bug just as easily as any kind of black light.
And Dave, I just wanted to make a comment too. If you find you have bed bugs, and this has happened in the past, and you see them in your mattress or your box spring, please contact the management company, DPW, Inspectional Services. The last thing we want is that you drag your mattress through the hallway into the elevator and you bring it downstairs in the trash. And that's, you know, the bed bugs will jump off of that, fall down, and you know, get in hallways and other units. Let the management company help you out. Inspectional Service will order them to wrap that mattress properly, and DPW will come and pick that up. So just one quick, don't drag the mattress through the hallway of an apartment building
Good point.
or a house.
I don't see other questions.
We
I
wanna-
know-
There you go. One more
I know
slide, I
that-
think. There we go.
Yep, there we go.
We can leave that up. So these are our three inspectors and obviously our manager, Anthony. Depending on where you are in the city. And if all else fails, just call any one of the three of us or the four of us. Give us your address and we'll make sure you get to the right person. We definitely want to help. It's our job to help you out. It's our job to inspect your unit, make sure everything is right, and to help you get compliance.
And it looks like we do have another question that came in. There's a 16-unit building that they've been having a year-long problem with mice inside various apartments. They've had a regular extermination service for the year, but still struggling. Do you have any additional ideas?
Yeah. So what I always stress when I talk to folks about getting their building exterminated is it isn't just a matter of putting out bait and putting out traps. You need to hire a contractor who's going to really get in there and inspect everything and seal up holes. Sealing up holes, preventing mice from spreading around and getting around is really, really important. You know, stoves have to be moved, refrigerators have to be moved. It's a long process to do a really good inspection and exclusion, really is what you call it. IPM, integrated pest management. It's doing all the other things other than applying chemicals in order to kill mice. Keeping everything sealed up will go a long way. You'll force them out into the open. You force them to, you take away their other food sources. You force them to feed on the bait. Definitely sealing up holes. I'd be happy to come out and help you with this if you wanted to call my phone number. I can give you more tips on what, or take a look around, and if there's something your company is missing, maybe there isn't. Not saying that there's anything wrong with whoever you've hired, but a new set of eyes on the problem can sometimes make a big difference. So
I'd also like to add door sweeps. The gaps underneath the doors is definitely a big one too,
Yep.
especially if it's a shared unit.
If you could maybe say that a little bit closer to the mic.
so what Melissa was saying is door sweeps are very important in that instance to keep the mice from spreading unit to unit. Other than the pipe holes, sealing up holes and door sweeps is a great addition. Thank you, Melissa.
And another pest that we didn't talk about, but I think you can speak to for maybe a minute, is what to do about skunks living under porches. Who to contact? Is it animal control, inspection services, or someone else?
Good question.
Yeah.
Don't,
And you guys
I don't-
can't say
I don't wanna
not
say-
us.
I don't want to say don't call us, but we're probably not the ones to handle much with that. And I know that animal control will get involved if the animal is a danger to someone, if it's acting erratically or things like that, they'll get involved. There are companies out there, commercial companies, Problem Animal Control is how you would look them up. Some extermination companies also do problem animal control and removal. That really messing with a skunk under your porch, you really should have a pro. You know, some people will say that, you know, throwing mothballs under there will drive them out. It might. It's also going to make the outside of your house smell lovely for several weeks. So I would, you could contact us for an inspection to see if that's what we think is going on, just as an opinion, not to order anyone to do anything. But definitely you should be, you know, we're going to steer you to a service provider that you would have to pay to have that removed.
Okay, and again, not seeing any other questions. If another one comes in the next minute or two, we'll certainly stop and answer it. But I just want to thank everyone who joined us today. Appreciate the questions and also the compliments that you and the city have received for your previous response and for your knowledge today. Also want to kind of reiterate that you know, this is a partnership that you talked about, Dave, and that we've talked about in the city, that it is tenants and owners or property managers and the city at large. We all have to work together, whether it's in our home or on the street, whether it's in our home, making sure that things are in Tupperware containers if we have a problem with roaches or mice. As you said, keeping pet food out of, you know, not out overnight and contained, or reporting an issue as quickly as possible. So thank you, Dave, thank you, Melissa, thank you, Anthony, thank you, Crystal, for always being our guide behind the scenes, and thank you, Stephanie Farrell, for the for CC, for closed captioning. And please, everyone, get in touch with the Inspectional Services Department or myself if you have any questions or other needs around housing or around our unwanted pests. Thank you and have a good afternoon. Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. I think we have one other question. No, I think it was just a thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
All right, everyone have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.